Mercury and Venus are the only two planets in our solar system that have no moons. In total, there are 176 confirmed moons that orbit the planets in our solar system. If a star passes too close to a black hole, it can be torn apart. The hottest planet in our solar system is Venus. Our solar system is 4.57 billion years old. The highest mountain discovered is the Olympus Mons, which is located on Mars. Its peak is 16 miles high, making it nearly 3 times higher than Mount Everest. The Whirlpool Galaxy M51 was the first celestial object identified as being spiral. A light year is the distance covered by light in a single year. Light moves at the velocity of about 186,411 miles or 300,000 kilometers a second. The Milky Way galaxy is 105,700 light-years wide. It would take a modern spacecraft 450 million years to travel to the center of our galaxy. The Sun weighs about 330,000 times more than Earth. Footprints left on the moon won't disappear since there's no wind. Because of lower gravity, a person who weighs 220 pounds on Earth would weigh 84 pounds on Mars. There are 79 known moons orbiting Jupiter. Jupiter is the planet in our solar system with the most moons. A day on Mars is 24 hours, 39 minutes, and 35 seconds long. NASA's Crater Observation and Sensing Satellite found evidence of water on the Earth's moon. The Sun makes a full rotation once every 25 to 35 days. Earth is the only planet not named after a god. Nobody knows how exactly the Earth got its name. Due to the Sun and Moon's gravitational pull, we have tides. Pluto is smaller than the United States. According to mathematics, white holes are possible, but we haven't found any. There are more volcanoes on Venus than on any other planet in our solar system. There are more than 1,600 major volcanoes across the surface of Venus, including a 5-mile-high volcano called Mat Mons. Uranus's blue glow is due to the gases in its atmosphere. Its atmosphere is made up of hydrogen, helium, and methane. In our solar system, there are 4 planets known as gas giants: Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune. Uranus has 28 moons discovered to date. Because of its unique tilt, a season on Uranus is equivalent to 21 Earth years. Neptune's moon, Triton, orbits the planet in the opposite direction. Triton is the only large moon of any of the planets that does this. Triton is gradually getting closer to the planet it orbits. There are more stars in space than there are grains of sand in the entire world. In fact, there are 10 times more stars in the night sky than grains of sand on Earth. Neptune takes nearly 165 Earth years to make one orbit of the Sun. Pluto's largest moon is half the size of Pluto. The International Space Station is the largest manned object ever sent into space. It is 119 yards long. A day on Pluto lasts for 153.6 hours. Saturn is the second largest planet in our solar system. Any free-moving liquid in outer space will form itself into a sphere. Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars are known as the inner planets. We know more about Mars and our moon than we do about our oceans. The Black Arrow is the only British satellite to be launched using a British rocket. Only 5% of the universe is visible from Earth. Light travels from the Sun to the Earth in less than 10 minutes. At any given moment, there are at least 2,000 thunderstorms happening on Earth. The Earth's rotation is slowing slightly as time goes on. If you were driving at 75 miles per hour, it would take 258 days to drive around Saturn's rings. Outer space is only 62 miles away. The International Space Station circles Earth every 92 minutes. Stars twinkle because of the way light is disrupted as it passes through Earth's atmosphere. We always see the same side of the moon, no matter where we stand on Earth. There are three main types of galaxies: elliptical, spiral, and irregular. There are an estimated 200 billion stars in the Milky Way. Using the naked eye, you can see 3 to 7 different galaxies from Earth. In 2016, scientists detected a radio signal from a source 5 billion light-years away. The closest galaxy to us is the Andromeda Galaxy. It's estimated at 2.5 million light-years away. The first supernova observed outside of our own galaxy was in 1885. The first ever black hole photographed is 3 million times the size of Earth. The distance between the Sun and Earth is measured in astronomical units. An astronomical unit equates to roughly 93 million miles, or 150 million kilometers. The second man on the moon was Buzz Aldrin. Moon was Aldrin's mother's maiden name. Buzz Aldrin's birth name was Edwin Eugene Aldrin Jr. On Venus, it snows metal and rains sulfuric acid. The Mariner 10 was the first spacecraft to visit Mercury in 1974. Space is completely silent. This is because there is no air in space, and air is needed to carry the sound vibrations. Coca-Cola was the first commercial soft drink that was ever consumed in space. The first food ever eaten in space was applesauce. Astronauts can grow approximately 2 inches, or 5 centimeters, when in space. The Kuiper Belt is a region of the solar system beyond the orbit of Neptune. If Saturn's rings were 3 feet long, they would be 10,000 times thinner than a razor blade. The Hubble Space Telescope is one of the most productive scientific instruments ever built. The first artificial satellite in space was called Sputnik. Exoplanets are planets that orbit around other stars. The center of the Milky Way smells like rum and tastes like raspberries. Our moon is moving away from Earth at a rate of 1.6 inches, or 4 centimeters per year. Pluto is named after the Roman god of the underworld, not the Disney dog. Spacesuit helmets have a Velcro patch to help astronauts scratch an itch. The ISS is visible to more than 90% of Earth's population. Saturn is the only planet that could theoretically float in water. Asteroids are the byproducts of formations in the solar system more than 4 billion years ago. Astronauts can't burp in space. The lack of gravity in space means the air in an astronaut's stomach doesn't separate from ingested food and rise up. Uranus was originally called George's star. A sunset on Mars is blue. The Earth weighs about 81 times more than the Moon. The word astronaut means star sailor in its origins. NASA stands for the National Aeronautics and Space Administration. Mercury has no atmosphere, which means there is no wind or weather. In China, the Milky Way is known as the Silver River. Red dwarf stars that are low in mass can burn continually for up to 10 trillion years. Scientists once believed that the same side of Mercury always faced the Sun. Jupiter's red spot is shrinking. A large percentage of asteroids are pulled in by Jupiter's gravity. A day on Mercury is equivalent to 58 Earth days. As space has no gravity, pens won't work. Normal pens work by gravity pulling the ink towards the pen's nib. On average, it takes the light only 1.3 seconds to travel from the Moon to Earth. There are 88 recognized star constellations in our night sky. The center of a comet is called a nucleus. The streams of dust that streak behind comets are known as a coma or a tail. As early as 240 BC, the Chinese began to document the appearance of Halley's Comet. In 2006, the International Astronomical Union reclassified Pluto as a dwarf planet. There are 5 dwarf planets recognized in our solar system. Mars is the most likely planet in our solar system to be hospitable to life. Halley's Comet will pass over Earth again on July 26, 2061. There is a planet half the radius of the Earth with a surface made up of diamonds. Buzz Lightyear from Toy Story has actually been to outer space. A toy Buzz Lightyear spent 15 months on board the International Space Station and returned to Earth in 2009. 1 teaspoonful of a neutron star weighs 10 billion tons. A bolt of lightning can reach 53,540 degrees Fahrenheit. That's over 5 times hotter than the surface of the Sun. With 3 trillion trees on Earth and up to 400 billion stars in the Milky Way, trees vastly outnumber the stars in our galaxy. The UFO Abduction Insurance Company, a leading alien abduction insurance provider based in Florida, has sold over 6,000 policies since 1987. There are more ways to arrange a standard deck of cards than the estimated number of stars in the observable universe. In 1930, an 11-year-old girl proposed the name Pluto. Mike Melville, the world's first commercial astronaut, never finished high school and was 63 when he first flew to space. In the 1990s, Taco Bell made a soft taco tortilla with a 9-month shelf life, which NASA later used for space missions. Contrary to popular belief, the Milky Way is shaped more like a Pringle than a flat disk. Saturn is slowly losing its rings to the planet's gravity. Modern spacesuits cost over $100 million, weigh around 110 pounds, and have multiple layers to protect astronauts from the harsh conditions of space. When Buzz Aldrin first stepped onto the moon, his first words were, "Beautiful view, magnificent desolation." Public interest in space exploration declined after the 1969 moon landing, with many Americans questioning the costs and priorities of NASA's missions. The original Xbox featured ambient sounds that included edited NASA Apollo mission transmissions. Although telescopes can observe distant galaxies, they cannot see small objects such as the flag on the moon due to limitations in angular resolution. At 60 miles per hour, reaching the sun would take approximately 177 years of nonstop driving. 2 of the original Mercury 7 astronauts wore regular work boots spray-painted silver in the famous photograph of them in their flight suits. It's the law in New Mexico that Pluto is still legally a planet when it passes over the state. A day on Pluto lasts about 153 hours, which is equivalent to 6.4 Earth days. In 1610, Galileo became the first person to look at Mars through a telescope. In 1920, the New York Times called rockets in space ridiculous and belittled the rocket scientist Robert H. Goddard, calling him less educated than a high school student. The only planet named after a Greek god instead of a Roman god is Uranus. Many of the geological features on the far side of the moon have Russian names because Soviet probes were the first to discover them. After Apollo 11 launched from Cape Canaveral in 1969, the Bishop of Orlando joked that he was Bishop of the Moon according to canon laws relating to newly discovered territories. In 2008, Japanese researchers planned to launch paper planes from the ISS to study atmospheric re-entry, but the experiment was postponed due to tracking and recovery concerns. The concept of a rocket launch having a countdown originated from Fritz Lang's 1929 movie, Woman in the Moon, where the countdown was used to increase tension. Only 3 objects in the sky can cast shadows on Earth: the Sun, the Moon, and Venus. The first 2 are pretty common, but Venusian shadows are very elusive. The first living creatures to orbit the Moon weren't humans but tortoises. They spent 7 days there in 1968 before returning safely to Earth. All planets in the solar system could fit between Earth and the Moon, but only when the Moon's orbit places it at its furthest point from Earth. Jupiter's largest moon has a salty ocean that contains more water than Earth. Stars come in all sorts of colors, ranging from white to blue to yellow to red. The color of a star tells us a lot about it, but mostly it tells us its temperature. After the USSR successfully launched the world's first satellite, NASA tried to launch its own. It crashed in 3 seconds. NASA's New Horizons space probe took almost 10 years to travel the 3 billion miles to Pluto. For 72 seconds in 1977, receivers on Earth picked up a signal from deep space. Dubbed the WOW signal, we're not sure what it was or where it came from. The galaxy cluster known as El Gordo, Spanish for the Fat One, held the title of the largest known galaxy cluster from 2012 to 2024. Jupiter's magnetic field is the single largest object in the solar system. If it were visible to the naked eye, it would appear larger than the Sun or the Moon. If the false vacuum theory of quantum mechanics is correct, it's possible the universe could destroy itself without any warning whatsoever. Despite Mercury being closer to the Sun, Venus is hotter as it has an atmosphere that traps and holds onto heat much like a greenhouse. The Crab Nebula, located in the Taurus constellation, is the remnant of a star that went supernova in 1058. A 2020 study by the University of Nottingham estimated the existence of approximately 36 intelligent alien civilizations within our Milky Way galaxy. The nearest star to the Sun is Proxima Centauri, a red dwarf located about 4.24 light-years away in the Centaurus constellation. The Apollo missions left mirrors on the Moon, which allow us to ping it with lasers to measure its exact distance from Earth. Astronauts aboard the International Space Station must exercise daily for at least 2 hours to prevent their muscles from declining due to the lack of gravity. The object that often appears as the brightest star in the night sky is actually the planet Venus. On average, Earth is struck by a football-sized meteoroid once every 2,000 years. Astronomers in the 1800s believed there was one extra planet in the solar system. Vulcan, the hypothetical planet, was meant to be between Mercury and the Sun. The rings of Saturn aren't solid. They're made up of countless bits of rock, dust, and ice ranging from tiny grains to large chunks up to 10 meters across. Like Jupiter, Neptune also has spots. Neptune's Great Dark Spot is also a giant storm, but it's not just one. The ice giant spots come and go relatively frequently. Harrison Schmitt, the last man to walk on the Moon during the Apollo missions, was allergic to moon dust. Some brown dwarf stars have surface temperatures as low as minus 10 degrees Fahrenheit or minus 23 degrees Celsius. All 88 of the constellations we know today were officially decided in the 1920s by the International Astronomical Union. The Mariner 10 space probe was the first spacecraft to use the gravitational pull of a planet to slingshot it further along in space. Water-based snow falls on Mars, but turns into gas before reaching the planet's surface. When viewed from Mars, the Sun appears about 2/3 the size it does from Earth. Most planetary systems have more uniformly shaped planets with regular spacing, making our solar system quite odd. Mars' soil is surprisingly nutrient-rich and would be pretty suited to growing vegetables like beans, turnips, or asparagus. Unfortunately, it's also extremely salty and contains toxins. Approximately 30% of the solar radiation that strikes Earth is reflected, with the rest absorbed by the land, sea, and atmosphere. Neptune was discovered using math a few months before it was physically observed, as it was causing irregularities in Uranus' orbit. While we have a few good theories, such as chemical reactions in the planet's upper atmosphere, the exact cause of Jupiter's Great Red Spot's red color remains unknown. Stars can disintegrate if they pass too close to a black hole. On average, the Moon gets battered by as much as 6,000 pounds of meteorite material per day. The matter we can see or record with various devices makes up just 5% of the universe's content. The other 95% is made up of dark matter and dark energy. It's theorized that up until about 4 million years ago, Mars had blue skies, fluffy white clouds, and flowing water. All of Uranus' moons are named after characters from Shakespeare and Alexander Pope's work. It's estimated that there are a whopping 10,000 stars in the universe for every grain of sand on Earth. In theory, there may be moons in the universe that have their own moons orbiting them. They are called sub-satellites, but are also known as submoons or moon-moons. Historically, nebula referred to any cloudy-looking celestial object seen through a telescope. Today, it specifically means interstellar clouds of gas and dust. When Galileo first saw Saturn's rings, he had no idea what they were. The closest word he found to describe them was ears. The Sun makes up 99.8% of the solar system's mass. Jupiter is larger than all the other planets in the solar system combined. Every October, Earth passes through debris from Halley's Comet. Almost all maps of the solar system exaggerate the size of planets and under-exaggerate the distance and space between them. Astronomers discovered a giant water reservoir floating in space that is equivalent to 140 trillion times all the water in the world's oceans. It's only 12 billion light-years away. Neil Armstrong carried a piece of the Wright brothers' first airplane with him as memento during his first moonwalk. On February 6, 1971, Apollo 14 astronaut Alan Shepard became the first man to play golf on the moon. Earth is the only known planet where water naturally exists in all three states: solid, liquid, and gas. Mercury has no moons because it's too close to the Sun, which would pull any potential moons away from the tiny planet. There's a giant void in space that's almost entirely empty of stars or other matter. It's 330 million light-years in diameter. Pluto measures approximately 1,477 miles in diameter, about 1/5 the width of Earth. Zombie stars are white dwarf stars in binary systems that survive a partial supernova explosion, appearing to come back to life. The smallest star we can see with the naked eye is about 66% the size of the Sun. When you look up at the stars, you're looking back in time. This is because light takes years, decades, centuries, and millennia to travel to your eyes from distant stars. Supernovas happen when certain stars run out of fuel. When this happens, the star collapses in on itself, creating a shockwave that tears it apart. Weight changes with gravity. For example, a person who weighs 140 pounds on Earth would weigh roughly 3,790 pounds on the Sun. One of Saturn's moons has active ice volcanoes that spew ice out into space. Geomagnetic solar storms can cause widespread blackouts on Earth, with the last significant storm in 1989 causing Quebec's electrical grid to collapse. The Earth moves around the Sun at 67,000 miles per hour. NASA scientists reported in 2015 that Mars once held more water than Earth's Arctic Ocean. A boomerang thrown in space wouldn't return to the thrower. Instead, it would keep on traveling through the vast cosmos until it hit something. Astronauts living aboard the International Space Station observed 16 sunrises and sunsets in a 24-hour period. Contrary to the depiction in movies, asteroids in the asteroid belt are so widely spaced that standing on one, you likely wouldn't see another nearby. Titan, one of Saturn's moons, has low gravity and a dense atmosphere. If you attach simple wings to your arms there, you could fly just by flapping them. Around 4 billion years ago, Neptune and Uranus gradually changed places as Neptune's orbit expanded and Uranus moved closer to the Sun. Mercury's orbit is the strangest of all the planets, following an oval path that makes its distance from the Sun vary during each revolution.